How you doing, people? Welcome back to another ESO build video. Today is the brand new update for the Almost Immortal Warrior, but with a bit of a twist. This is the Endless Archive version. Now you can play this solo or duo, it's entirely up to you how you build, but there are going to be lots and lots of tips along the way as to how to utilize this in the Endless Archive and how to make it stronger throughout. So if you want to see more of this absolute fire demon, stay tuned, it's all coming up. So, quick history lesson. The Almost Immortal Warrior has been around ever since 2016. It was the first build on my channel, and it is original as ever. Bear in mind, by the way, this has had updates for the last 6 years through multiple patches and has stood the test of time, no trouble whatsoever. So someone tried to tell you this is new? Tell them to go on the internet and have a look. And with it being a community favorite, of course, with it also being the first ever build video on my channel, it would make perfect sense for us to obviously update it for the Endless Archive. This thing is almost, because you might die, immortal. You can take a serious amount of punishment at the same time as having really good resource management, but I've made it more user-friendly for solo players and so much more for duo players in here with a little twist here and there. So, if you want to learn about the skills of the Dragonknight specifically, there is a class guide there. Everything is explained. I will go over details in this video, but all the intricacies of the skills and passives are in there, just in case you want them. In here, it's going to be a bit quicker to go over that stuff, but I will, again, still vaguely go over stuff so it makes a bit more sense. So, obviously, with most build videos, we're going to go into the stats first of all. Now, we need to put a potion on and a buff on, and I think that's it. That's it. So, we are sitting on 13.8k magicka. Don't worry, that's not a problem. 51.1k health, 20.9k stamina, with almost 2k mag recovery, almost 1.8k health recovery, and nearly 800 stam recovery. Weapon and spell damage is irrelevant. That will go up during combat, but we don't really need the huge spell boost, although it's nice to have, or weapon boost. We have actually got 23.4% crit chance, which would normally only be 11 on this particular character, and our spell pen is meh. Doesn't really make too much of a difference because we've got debuffs for ourselves anyway, and in the Endless Archive, you can actually get beat down, which removes all resistances, so it's win-win when that happens. Bear in mind, my resistance buff just fell off. Spoiler! 31.7k resistances across the board. Yes, you are 1.3k from cap. Bear in mind, of course, if you get minor resolve in your group, that will put you over cap. But that does not matter, because if you do over cap with this build, you will benefit. There are bonuses attached to this particular setup that you can take advantage of if someone in your group happens to bring more resistances for you. So we're nearly cap, but if you do hit cap, the stat increase will make certain sets increase. 64 points into max health, and we're using flat food. Max health, max stamina, food only. No recovery food, no tri-stat stuff. I do not recommend it. Atronach Munderstone, do recommend that. Now, bear in mind, when I said other people can bring buffs and bonuses regarding your resistances, that doesn't mean that you'll get any more mitigation. You will still cap at 50% mitigation bonuses at 33k for your resistances. The stat can be a contributor for sets and skills. Some skills, some sets do get stronger the higher the stat, regardless of what it does to benefit you outside of it. So, let's get on with the skills. First of all, Igneous Shields. Earth and Heart skill line, third ability to unlock. Starts off as Obsidian Shield, morph it to Igneous. Basically, when you need it, activate this and you'll get Major Mending for 3 seconds, increasing all of your healing done. And you'll get a damage shield for you and your party member, whether that be a companion or a player. Your damage shield is larger because it scales off of your maximum health. So yes, that does mean the more health you get, the bigger that shield for both of you. But your shield is bigger because, well, it's your skill, basically. Big shield for your friend, massive shield for you, protection skill, basically. Has got front-loaded bonuses that come with the passive, but we'll get to that in a bit. Green Dragon Blood. Draconic Power. You can maintain this as an active buff every 20 seconds because it will give you major fortitude, major endurance, and minor vitality for the purpose of maintaining it. But at the same time, if you activate this, you will get back 34% of your missing health. Now, that is a percentage base of missing health. It's not percentage base of your maximum, it's a percentage base of what's missing. So if you are 50% of your health bar at the moment, you'll get 34% of the missing back. Bear in mind, however, it can crit. We have deliberately pushed the crit on this build to allow for that to happen more often. So while it says 34%, it will actually go higher if you get lucky. But at the same time, if you crack Ignis Shields first, which is a healing done bonus, it's not 34 anymore, it's 39. If you're squishy, that's weak. If you're strong, that's obviously a lot easier to maintain. Next is Pierce Armor. This is your bread and butter skill for any tank build. You need to make sure that on your weapon skill line, you have a taunt. This particular weapon skill line is sword and board on both bars on purpose. No, we're not using an ice staff. No, I don't recommend it for this build. You will struggle with resources. It will be too complicated. You'll have to sacrifice too much. You'll just make a mess. Make your friend bring an ice staff. Pierce Armor. Stab the enemy. They will be debuffed. They will have Major Breach and Minor Breach, removing nearly 9k resistances across the board because both Minor and Major do stack. That 15-second duration also applies a taunt. Tanks out there, don't let your taunt run out. If it goes to 0, you're wrong. It happens to everybody, don't worry, but you're wrong. You need to maintain it, so overlap it ever so slightly. If you try and overlap it at the very last second, you're also wrong, because you might get stunned, knocked over, CC'd, whatever, and now the boss is loose and killing people. So overlap it. You don't need to spam it, although when you're on your own you can, but you do need to maintain it. So as many targets as you possibly can, maintain your taunt so that your friend, 1, has extra damage because of the debuff, and 2, doesn't get smacked in the face. Deep Breath is very important for this particular setup. This is in the Draconic Power skill line. This will basically suck air out of the enemies and do fire damage, and then after a short period, basically it's 2.5 seconds after you activate it, but in an 8-meter area of effect, not only do you do flame damage, not only do you heal for the damage caused per target, but you can also knock them off balance if you interrupt them, and that is what the skill is for. This is an area of effect interrupt, so you don't have to run around going bash, 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 bash. You can just do this. Everyone in that area is interrupted. Massive spoiler there. Haven't even gotten to the gear yet. Why do I do that? Next, Engulf in Flames. This is in the Ardent's Flame skill line. Second ability, or third ability to unlock even. And this basically is your breath ability. You breathe fire. How cool is that? Now, what this also does, this particular version of it, because we have morphed it into Engulf in Flames, is this will do direct damage in area of effect, so that is uncapped. You can hit as many targets as you can see, or as many what will reach inside that cone effect of 10-meter radius. So anyone in frontal conal effect will get hit by that. Then 6 of them will have a damage over time flame effect on them for 24 seconds. Bear in mind, while they have this on them, they are debuffed. They can have up to a 6% bonus on them, which means all flame damage does an extra 6% damage to them. This is scaled off of your weapon and spell damage. Now, ours is relatively low, so we will get the 3% value at base, because that's the lowest you can get. During combat, you can enhance that. During buffs and bonuses, you can enhance that. On this particular build, you're likely to get around 4%, which is actually still a very, very good buff. If you had more weapon and spell damage, yes, of course, you could boost that to 6%, but you need quite a lot to do that. You could do it with your weapon and spell damage glyphs on your jewelry, but for the moment, that's not going to work out for you. Later on, during the Endless Archive, if you can stack loads and loads and loads of magical recovery, then have a second set of jewelry and swap it out. But for the time being, or for most of this, you're going to get roughly 4% while you're in combat. So that's obviously when you've got minor brutality on. That's part of the setup, but we'll worry about that when we get to the passives. But you're going to have a 4% bonus all the time. Basically, maintain it. If this is on the enemy, everyone else in the room, including you, does more damage. So maintain that. Good damage over time as well. And it's fire, so it can apply a bonus status effect. So can this, because that is also fire. Spell Wall. Sword and Board skill line. We've chosen this particular morph because not only do you block everything for 7 seconds without needing to use your stamina, and you can run around at full speed, and you can heavy attack from underneath it, but this also reflects projectiles. So it pings them back at the targets. This is your emergency, oh my god, my teammate is down, I need to res them button. So get safe, control the room, get your resources up and your buffs running, pop this and resurrect them. Sanguine Altar. Yes, of course you could choose the other one, but you don't really need it. The other one costs more health, so it's riskier. This one doesn't really cost that much. It costs half. It lasts longer, so you've got the synergy in the room for a longer period of time. But basically what this does is this allows the whole room, basically within a 28-meter radius, so pretty big, to be affected with minor life steal. So if you hit the enemy that is affected with minor lifesteal, you get health back once a second for doing damage to them. So every second that you do damage, you heal. And your friends do the same. Essentially, though, all damage gives back health, and there's a synergy attached to it. So once every 20 seconds, so long as they're obviously lower health, they can take advantage of this and fill their health bar. It says 40% of their max health, but they can crit it, so it's quite substantial. The other one is a bigger heal, but it's a shorter duration and costs more health. Yeah, of course, you're probably going to overlap this, but it's just safer. From actual testing, it's just safer. Next up is Volatile Armor. Oh, by the way, that is in the Undaunted skill line. You want to get that as soon as possible. It's actually the first skill you get. Volatile Armor is done on purpose. Yes, of course, you could take advantage of the other version, which does a damage shield, but we have a massive damage shield, so what's the bloody point? So, instead of wasting magic on that for a damage shield, and then this for a damage shield, which they do stack, you may as well just have two very different skills that can apply different bonuses. This particular morph, however, does have a massive, massive side effect, which is a big bonus to us, and that is if you activate it, you get Major Resolve, granted, so you've got resistance bonuses. It does return damage to melee-based attacks, which are close range, and also, when you activate it, you apply a 20-second flame damage over time to all targets in range. Bear in mind, flame damage can apply a burn and status effect. That does massively support the Dragonknight with their passives, and also if you get the focused efforts bonus in Endless Archive, you hit hard. So at base, this is quite nice, but later on, if you get the right buffs and bonuses, you do a significant amount of damage in area of effect. Also, again, this is scaled off of your resistances. So the higher your resistances, the stronger this is, which is why at cap, 33k, this is going to be pretty good. But if other people bring resistance bonuses into the group from other sets like Lord Warden or Grave Guardian or even Minor Resolve, then you can actually ramp this up quite a lot. So while your mitigation bonuses don't improve, your stats towards this do. Maintain it, basically. Don't let it run out. Last 20 seconds. Keep your resistance buff up. Bear in mind also, there is a buff in the Endless Archive that will extend major and minor bonuses by 65% if you've got them maxed or 50% if you haven't. That does improve the duration of Major Resolve, not the damage over time. But there are some bonuses that do improve damage over time, and you can start double dipping in some of these. So if you stack a few of those, you've got a very long duration resistance bonus and a very long duration area of effect damage over time per target kind of application skill. Flames of Oblivion. This is here for a very, very specific reason. On this particular build, you do not crit very often, but you want to. You want the burn and status effects to apply. You want them to crit. You want your damage to crit. You're not going to get a massive crit stacks out of a tank. This normally has 11%. Flames of Oblivion, however, was changed. Not only can you do damage once every 5 seconds for 15 seconds, which is quite cheap as well for 2k Magicka while you activate it. Not only is it flame damage with direct damage, which could apply burn and status, but just for having it on your bar. They changed this, remember? Either bar, you get Major Prophecy and Major Savagery. Now, crit chance is 219 per 1%, so technically speaking, you get about 12 out of this. That just sitting there, no matter which bar you're on, gives you crit chance. So you have more chance to crit with your physical or magical abilities or anything that you basically do. That was a tip over the edge for the setup. It did really help. Usually I put a range taunt there, but we don't need a range taunt. It's an arena where you need to kind of get in the fight anyway, and most of the stuff is going to come to you because of the next skill. Now, next up is the taunt. Basically, you have a taunt here, which is a stab from 7 meters maximum. This one here is 22 meters. Now, granted, the Undaunted range taunt is 28 meters, but in the Endless Archive, you're going to be running from fight to fight to fight. You want to get in, you want to fight. You're going to be in range. So this is your range taunt, effectively. Granted, it's a chain, it pulls enemies to you, but it's also a taunt if it isn't already taunted. So you can grab with this, stab with that for the debuff if you need to. Also, enemies that are not able to be CC'd, they can't be stunned, they can't be crowd controlled, whatever, you get 100% Magicka back if you fire this. So while it can be used as a direct damage spammable for things that can't be pulled, while it can also be used as a pull ability to get things close to you, it can also be utilized as a range taunt for enemies that don't move when you tell them to on initial cast. So you instantly grab that control, and then it's up to you what you do for the next 15 seconds. Now, this can't overlap on itself because it's a temporary one, while this one actually can. So this is quick control, get it in, decide what to do. This one's the stab and debuff. Choke and Talons is next. Once you've pulled stuff in, you want to pin it. This is in the Draconic Power skill line. Second one you unlock starts off as Dark Talons, morph it to choking, not the other one. The other one is more damage orientated. This one does do damage initially and does have a synergy attached, so your friends should take this. But essentially this is a pin, immobilize, and maim. So you pull with one skill, which is on the same cooldown as a stun, so they are immune to that now. And then you immobilize them, which is a separate crowd control after they're in. Pull in, stun CC, immobilize, immobilize CC. Now you've got both stacking on top of each other. After it's all gone, you can do it again. And finally, Standard of Might is one choice. So you've got two ultimates here that I would highly recommend to start with. If you're doing really, really well, you're in the early arcs, use this banner all day long. It does a good amount of damage, especially as a tank, because we don't have much else in our areas for DPS. It does have a synergy attached to it, so you can chain targets to it, and it does big, big AoE damage if someone else takes the synergy. And for standing in it, you do more damage, and you take less damage. It also nukes healing received of enemies as well, and yes, if you've got infusers in the room that are enraging, stuff gets healed. So this is a very, very good all-round ultimate. Damage mitigation, damage output, CC, debuffing the lot. However, once it starts getting really difficult for you and your partner, or just you and your companion, or maybe just you, this is when you want to swap this out. So later arcs, maybe 5+, depending on how well you're doing, you want to swap to this. You want to swap to Magma Shell. Magma Shell is very simple. Comes from the Earth and Heart skill line. Morph it to this particular version, because this one allows you to get ultimate while you're still in that form. So it's 188 ultimate on this particular build already. And then while you are in its form, you can still generate ready to stack another one shortly after. This will make it so that you only ever take a maximum per hit of 3% of your maximum health, no matter how hard the hit is, unless it's a designed one-shot. You also do flame damage in area of effect to close by enemies, which, yes, can apply burn and status effects. There's a lot of that on this build. And nearby allies, they have to be really close, will get a damage shield just like yours. Yours is the equivalent of 100% of your maximum health. So is theirs. So if they have 50k health, they get a 50k damage shield. They have 30k health, they get a 30k damage shield. Same applies to you as well. So if you stack this with some of the bonuses that you get from the Endless Archive, i.e. the one that gives you 20k health just for standing in the circle, and you hit this, you and they get a really big shield. So this is your use all the time protection ultimate, and this one is more your damage ultimate. Switch between them, see which ones you like, but honestly, once it gets really, really difficult, you're going to want Magma Shell all day long. And of course, remember your spell wall is your emergency res button. Res while blocking. Now, passives. I'm going to go over these very briefly. You do want to get all of the Ardent Flame passives because they all benefit you as far as duration, snares, damage output is concerned, fire and poison damage, all that stuff is boosted on the DK and particularly the skill line. But also remember this, your burning and poison status effects do 33% more damage than anybody else in the game. And when you apply burning, you'll get 1000 magicka back. When you apply poison, you get 1000 stamina back. Both of those have their own unique 3-second cooldown. So, poison, fire, both stronger, both give resources back. You need to fire them. And you will get all of those passives. This is quite simple. Block mitigation bonuses. Draconic Power ability active gives you a healing receive bonus. So if you've got this running, or this running, or this, you get the idea. Any of those running, you get a bonus. Increases health recovery for each one on the bar. I know, yeah, there's going to be people saying, hey, why don't you put this on the front for higher health recovery? Well, you don't want to have no health recovery on the back. It's nice to have the little bonus there alongside this. So technically, we've got one here and one here. On the front bar, we've got one here and one here. We're equal on both bars. That was done on purpose. Do what you like with it. It doesn't really make a huge difference, but if you want to be consistent and keep those bonuses on both bars, that did help. But also, you've got increased resistances for being a Dragonknight, which is kind of handy. Earth and Heart is very important. This is all in the class guide. Obviously, there is a very in-depth Dragonknight class guide going over all the skills and passives. That is in the description below. Again, I noted that earlier. If you do need it, go there and read all this stuff in detail, but these are very important regardless. Duration for skills on this skill line. Ultimate actually gives you resources back. The more expensive, the better, and it's off the base cost, so reduction to cost doesn't affect your resource gain. This obviously gives minor brutality to your group if you're using Earth and Heart abilities, just once every 20 seconds. More weapon damage for everybody, plus ulti back. And if you use And if you use a Magicka ability from this skill line that costs more than 1120, you'll get that much back in stamina each time. Sword and board, obviously very important. Get every single one of these. They help towards your block mitigation, your movement speed while blocking, bash damage, and cost reduction for bash. These are very important. Get them as soon as you can. We are using nothing but heavy armor. We are utilizing the full 7-piece bonuses here. Massive resistances, massive health recovery, and restoring resources for being hit. Max health out the nose, and of course more resources back from heavy attacking. That is essential on a build that utilizes tanky stuff, because you want to maintain your resources and you can't always rely on synergies. So if you are a tank, get used to heavy attacking in window of opportunity moments during mechanics. None of this counts. We're not using any of it. Not using any Fighters Guild, no Mages Guild, no Psijic, none of that. Undaunted is important. You are going to want these two passives here. If you take a synergy, which you might, because you could be with a friend that's got synergies, any synergy you take will give you resources back. So obviously pick up everything you can see. And obviously this gives you a flat bonus to all 3 resources. Yes, I know, someone's going to say, why don't you use 1 medium and 1 light and blah, blah, blah. You don't need to. If you do that, you're going to meet the same amount of health, because you're going to take off a 2% bonus from heavy and gain it from a different piece of armor. At the same time, you're going to reduce your resistances. You're going to reduce 2 bonuses worth of heavy passives. It's really not worth it. 7 all the way. We are not using any of these, but you can if you want. That's entirely up to you. And we're an Imperial. You do not have to be. You can use any race you like. But we've chosen Imperial for specific bonuses. Highest health bonus in the game. Highest stam bonus in the game. Reduction to cost for all skills, including ultimates. So resource management and high resources, all there. Now, you are going to also want to take advantage of alchemical skills, but one specific one. Medicinal use. Use your potions like they're going out of fashion. They'll keep your recovery up. Simple as that. That will make the duration last longer, and you can make more use of their duration-based bonuses. You don't let your buffs run out. Don't let your potions run out. If it's not grayed out, you're doing it wrong. Now, the gear. This is designed to be very, very tanky, to survive all manner of hell, and at the same time, provide the ability for other people to do more damage if they're doing flame damage. It's there to do some damage, and also apply status effects from your skills, being poison and fire. Because both of them are stronger for the DK. Both of them give both bars worth of resources back if you can proc them 2 independently. And also, there are bonuses in the Endless Archive that will dramatically enhance your performance on this particular setup if you take advantage of them. Yes, I'm talking about focused efforts. We'll go over that more later. We are using the Leeching set, which has been on the build for 6 years. But with a slight twist. I would highly recommend the Sword and Board, quite frankly, because it's easy to get in comparison to the rest of the stuff. The sticker book will inevitably allow you to get all the gear, but the sword comes from Lord Warden himself in the Imperial City Prison. If you kill him, you have a chance of unlocking his unique weapon. It happens to be his sword. Then, if you do the quest in there, which obviously you have to complete the dungeon for anyway, you get the shield. That shield talks to you, by the way. Bit of a spoiler there, but that's a very unique item. That shield does talk. Now, I know you can't have 2 of those shields exactly the same because it's a unique item and you can't duplicate it. However, once you have this, it goes in your sticker book and you can make a basic version of it. So you can have 2 shields. Get 1 from the quest, make a second one. Get 1 sword from the quest, from the last boss, make a second one. And then you can double bar the set. Now, I would recommend in your fashion areas, in the way that you design your character and their weapons and all that kind of stuff, I would make one weapon look different to the other. That way you can differentiate between the bars. So, Sword and Board Leeching. Charged on purpose. Yes, this has been tested so much. Defending was nice, but charged boosted your ability to apply burning and poison so much more. All day long, put charged on both bars. Damage shield if you like on the back. I mean, once you get enhancements towards your damage shield, your enchantments, if you get a buff for that, that can make a big difference. Same for the poison as well. But poison is there for the poison status. The damage shield is there just because it doesn't really matter what you put on the back bar. It's quite nice. It's not great, but it's not bad. Don't put poison on both because they don't overlap. We are also using 3 pieces of leeching, so belt, leg, and feet. Doesn't matter which order they're in, because everything is heavy, so you can put this in any order you like. Even the weapon and the shield don't have to be this, but I would recommend that because 1, they're easy to get, and 2, it talks to you. So you can fully enjoy the Almost Immortal Warrior in its truest form, having the original gear on it. Now, the other set we're using, the monster set, is Grothdar. Now, Grothdar has been an option for the build for a long time, but I highly recommend it in the Endless Archive over the Stonekeeper, or whatever the hell it was called, helmet. While that one does give you resources back, this does apply fire in area of effect just for you doing damage. Decent radius as well. We're talking the same sort of area as your Deep Breath, and it's basically 50% uptime, 50% downtime. It's pretty good. Yes, the damage does scale off of weapon and spell damage, but with it being fire and damage over time, you can heighten it with buffs and bonuses, and it can apply burning, if you're lucky. Heavy on helmet and shoulders for that. Reinforced for the helmet, the shoulders, and the chest. Sturdy for everything else. Now, the other set, a little bit out there, but stay with me. This actually works very, very well. You're going to be pleasantly surprised. This is Explosive Rebuke from Vatashran Hollows. Yes, you know those sets that people can't figure out whether they should use them or not. Yeah, use this. This is stamina, health, and weapon and spell damage, but when you block, you place a bomb on the enemy for 10 seconds. This can happen once every 8 seconds, by the way. That target will be glowing orange. If you or anybody else heavy attacks it, it will explode in area of effect, doing flame damage. And every single target hit with that will receive a guaranteed burn-in status effect. Once every 8 seconds. And the damage scales off of your resistance. So the higher your resistance, the bigger the boom. As you can see here. That 6k turns to 8. Yes, you can crit it. Yes, it gets really, really powerful. That consistently being on targets because you are blocking all the damage will be a freaking huge benefit to you if you heavy attack them. And also if you sit there side by side a Lazy Sork. Yes, they've been put side by side. It's very hard to die and things go bang. So much status effect. It's nuts. So get this in any order on your character. Bear in mind, I've done 2 pieces here with 3 jewelry, but any order you like. Now, the jewelry, regardless of whether they're leeching or the Explosive Rebuke, need to be 1 infused, 2 healthy, with magic recovery on all 3. That way you can maintain your resources quite happily, and along the way, when you get magical recovery bonuses, that ramps up quite dramatically. You can end up with like 3k plus recovery. It's really, really easy to maintain. Just bear in mind, by the way, if you're not familiar with leeching, this does poison under the target's feet when they attack you. It is damage over time, and it is poison. Every second that you do damage in that area of effect, regardless of how many targets are in it, you will heal for 100% of the damage caused. So if there's 5 targets, you will get 5 ticks of that heal in 1 second. If there's 1 target, you'll get 1. It will always consider each individual, and you will always heal from that. It is very, very strong. It will keep you alive for just basically forever, depending on how stupid you're standing in stuff, because some things hit really hard. But this is your survival set, and it is phenomenal. Now, I've noted very carefully that it's poison and damage over time. Why have I done that? Well, because if you increase your damage from physical damage over time effects, that will get stronger. And there are buffs for that in the Endless Archive, which means your heals get stronger. Also, if you have healing done, that gets this buffed as well. And because it's poison, every single tick alongside your charge, you do have a chance of applying poison status. That will put single target damage over time on every single target that it applies to, and every 3 seconds you will get 1k stamina back, even if you're blocking. So all of these work in tandem with each other. We've got a potential for poison status effect on our surviving set. We've got very high chance of poison status on our weapon if we light attack or stab or heavy attack, and we've got burn and status effect potential from Grothdar and our skills, but guaranteed from explosive as well. Now, as you go through the archive, we're going to get out of here because we're going to go into tips for this place. There are several different bonuses that I would highly recommend you take advantage of with this particular build. First and foremost, you want to get your damage up. You're already tanky. You can last throughout several fairly high arcs before you really need to worry about your mitigation bonuses or survival. You want to push for some damage. Now, if you don't get any damage along the way, yes, of course, take what you can get. But here are some of the things you want to go for. So, first of all, you definitely want to go for ferocious support. You are going to be heavy attacking to get resources back. That will put a bleed on targets. Very handy, good damage. No one's going to sneeze at that. You definitely want to get hold of scorching support because that fire on the ground, heightens your chance of doing burn and status effects, plus it gives you that extra damage that you need, and that is where you want to park your targets. Focused efforts is, without a doubt, required. If you can get that bonus, stack it as hard as you can. You want to get that as many times as possible. Yes, I know it's massive RNG. You might have a run, you never see it. You might have another run, you see it 5 times. You will do a lot of damage, constantly applying burn it and poison if you get that. Outside of that, ulti reduction. If you can get ultimate reduction to cost, that stacks quite heavily alongside the Imperial passive for reduction to cost for all your skills. You can get your Magma Shell down very, very low. Now, along the way, you've got loads of verses and stuff you can take advantage of. Obviously, Fire Orb, Fire Aura, Exsanguinate, all the damagey ones are quite fun. But those, again, are random. One of the biggest bonuses you can get, if you find it, and I know it's really fun to take at any of the avatars you possibly can, the Iron Atro turns this guy into a demon. So if you see that, get it. Outside of that, other verses can contribute. You've got reduction to damage, you've got increase to damage over time, you've got increase to physical damage over time, you've got lots of different things that you can pick up just based on luck. But one of the biggest ones I would recommend for your sustainability, outside of the damage stuff, is the Magicka recovery bonus. It starts off at 25%, but you can end up with 31% if you get all your buffs and bonuses unlocked, because you have permanent buffs inside the Endless Archive that enhance the verses and visions. The one you're looking for is a 31% increase. So while we've got almost 2k at the moment, you can end up with much, much more. Now, one of the things people would have issues with to start with is they don't realize that these skills do last a long time. So when I'm putting breath on targets, that's 24 seconds. Resistance buff, 20 seconds. Flames, 15 seconds. My Magicka, look at it. I don't even have a pot running at the moment. Everything's running. Burning status effect is applying, getting resources back. It's not stressful. So you don't need to sit there doing this. Don't do this. And spam stuff all day long. Because that's just silly. I mean, eventually you'll run out, but it's silly. Keep an eye on things, calm down. This is your protective shield for your group. This is your heal if you need it. The rest of it is just debuffing. This is your interrupt, your deep breath, when you need it. If you can calm down and manage that, you'll be fine. Now, granted, when you pull stuff in with chains, you're going to run out quite quickly because you're going to go yoink, 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 and then they're going to be there. Calm down. Hold them there. Stab them if you need to. Your Magicka will come back. You can control it very, very easily in the earlier rounds because you have less enemies. So as you go through, start to see if you can unlock more recovery bonuses. When you get to a certain point, you have really big recovery bonuses. If you've got like 5k or something, take those jewelry pieces off and replace them with weapon and spell damage because you're done there. But if that doesn't happen, obviously look for those when you can. Bear in mind also, targets that can't be chained can still be taunted with the chain. And it's free. So you're not going to have a magic of difficulty there when this doesn't cost you anything. It comes back. You can utilize it as a spammable on bosses if you really want to, as long as you maintain your dots. But also, free taunt. Sun Eater, free. Infuser, free. Flame Shaper, free. Spellfucker, free. Fucking Book Forearms, free. The first time you cast it, it's a taunt. After that, they can't overlap. So bear in mind, you're going to have to reapply if it runs out, or you can just stab it in between and take over it. Those types of things are very, very important. So understand your skills. Don't spam them and complain that you can't manage your resources. Learn to manage them. That's why I said this. Potions. Maintain them. If it's grey, you're doing great. If it's not grey, you're doing it wrong. Some people use it as a heal. That's not what that's for. Does it help? Sure. But if you only ever use it for a heal, you're never taking advantage of its recovery bonuses that maintain your higher recovery stats. Now, champion points real quick. Basically, you need 4 slottables. The rest of them you can get in your own time. So this stuff here, they are yellow or white, depending on how you can see. They are going to be with you the whole time. The other ones you can swap out. So how you build in there technically is up to you as far as champion points is concerned, but here's what I would recommend to start with. So you got Ironclad, first of all, which gives you a 6% damage reduction to all direct attacks. You're going to get a lot of those in area of effect and single target. They do help to have that bonus to have them mitigated a bit. Then you've got, obviously, Bulwark, which is down here, which you need this first. You need to unlock these to get this open, which will give you extra resistances. That does contribute towards the strength of your fire damage from your resistance bonus, and of course it puts you closer to cap if you don't have extra help from your group or from your other party member. This will reduce the amount of damage over time damage you will take, and this will reduce the amount of single target attack damage that you will take. So you've got direct, single target, and damage over time combined, plus a good resistance bonus for having a sword and board equipped. Now, if you didn't need this because you felt like you were actually doing quite well, or you had too much resistances and you felt that the extra dot wasn't really worth it, and you just wanted to kind of hit cap, and that was enough, so minor resolve and pretty much done, you can, of course, take advantage of this. While using Blood Funnel, if the ally in your room actually heals at very low health by hitting the target and receiving a hit in return, because it comes from you, you can actually apply a damage shield to them. So in really, really emergency situations, this can sometimes help, and the same applies to you as well. It's hit and miss, but I mean, if you really need it, it is there. So you can swap it out for that if you want. Now, the red tree is quite straightforward. Get as many of these white or yellow passives as possible, because they do contribute towards your block cost reduction, your sprint speed reduction, and all that kind of stuff. There's lots of different bonuses here that will obviously help, but you want to get your red slottables. This one, first of all, boundless vitality, max health. This one, max armor, and this one, recovery. That one is a bit of a flex one, because if you're doing quite well with your recovery and you've got some really nice bonuses already, then of course you can either take advantage of the stack and bonus or use something else which might help you in sticky situations. So you've got stuff like this, a free dodge roll once every 30 seconds, or you break free automatically once every 21 seconds. Those two are nice swap outs for this if you are doing okay with your resource management. Outside of that, what you do really need to go for is this here. The more ultimate you hold, the higher your health recovery. That helps you survive. Again, if you're using your ultimate a lot, then you'll get it as you build up, but then you'll nuke it again. You'll get it as you build up and then nuke it again. But if you can hold on to it for emergency situations, this can be quite useful. Again, however, if you're not using that and you don't find it useful, then by all means, swap to this. You have an oh shit button as a res ulti if you like. Basically, you block for free for 7 seconds. You can pick someone up. This decreases the time it takes to do so. So while I would recommend these three, first of all, alongside of the recovery bonus for holding ultimate, that's really helpful in the Atro form and also with tomfoolery. I would say that this here, Spirit Mastery, and also Slippery are your two other very good options that you could take advantage of, depending on how you are personally. The green stuff, you're getting chests all the time. Higher quality loot from chests. Food lasts longer. Potions have a chance not to even consume one, but you still get the bonuses. Use your potions all the time. And of course, you run faster if you're not in combat, including that stupid gauntlet tentacle tunnel thing. You know the one I'm talking about. So these are quality of life, but the speed bonus does help between fights, especially in those secrets. Now, fashion-wise, obviously, we need to show off the fashion. This is the same as it's been for years. It's on the website already, so if you go straight to the website now, you can see everything you need to see, but we're going to go over it really quickly. We're using Divine Prosecutor's helmet in heavy. Everything else, apart from the shoulders and the belt, is the same. So everything here, chest, legs, feet, hands, they are all Worm Cult heavy. Shoulders is Imperial 4 heavy, and the belt is Dramathra light. Pretty much it. Weapons-wise, we're looking at the Lord Warden axe and the Shield of Senchal shield. And on the back bar, it doesn't really matter, but we're using a new hammer here, the Deadkeeper mace, and the shield we're using is Morag Tong. The back bar, I would recommend, fashion-wise, changing it from the front bar so that you can tell, if you're not looking at your skills or whatever, which bar you're on, just in case you get in an over-dramatic scene where everything's panicky. Now, color-wise, we're using 3, actually. We are using the Warrior's Steel for the purpley color that's on all the things, and we're using the Ash. You can use any, actually. You can use Falmore Black, you can use Obsidian Black, Legate's Black, or even Cold Harbor Ash. It's entirely up to you for the black color. And the red color we're using is Daedric Red, which is all the way over here. Again, that is all on the website. Hopefully that helps. Thank you very much for watching, people. I hugely appreciate the support. If you're not subscribing, obviously hit that button. It's free. And if you want to see other Dragonknight videos, there are some links right here. So top left, Dragonknight class guide, everything you need to know in more detail. On the right-hand side, we've got my main character toxicity build. Bottom left, we've got Hot Sauce, which is a 1-bar mag DK. And on the right-hand side, we've also got Murder of Fire, which is a mega hybrid with budgies and fire. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.